The most dangerous weapon in the world is not a gun, it is trust. I want to tell you a bit of a story. So I was sitting at home, I just poured myself a glass of Chardonnay, and I'm at the kitchen bench, and I've got my phone, and I've got the newspaper, about to do a bit of doom scrolling, and I get a phone call from my mum, and she says to me, I've met someone. Now, my mum was single for about 25 years at that stage, so I was really excited for her. And I said, well, tell me a bit about him. And she said, well, his name is Donald Johnson. He's 69 years of age. He's a widow from Orange. They had been speaking for a short period of time, and he was currently in Turkey, just finalising a contract before he retired. Turkey. Okay. So I didn't sort of say much. I asked her the normal questions. How long have you been dating? A little bit more about him. Then I said to her, could you send me some photos of Donald? So what I found that these photos were not of Donald. They were stolen. They belonged to a real estate agent in California. A real man, a real name, a husband and a grandfather. My mum had been talking to a fake profile. She was a victim of a romance scam. So I sat on that for a bit, poured myself another glass of wine, and then I rang her. And I could hear her heart break in real time. She wasn't dramatic, she didn't cry, she didn't sort of say much. She asked me a few questions, but what she did say to me was, how did this happen? So a little bit about me. I'm a former New South Wales police officer. I trained in intelligence, undercover, hostage negotiation, child protection, and I was a detective. So that statement really resonated with me. How did this happen? So I decided to find out. I decided to go undercover. And I created two fake dating profiles, a 62-year-old woman and a 67-year-old man. Yes, that's my photo with a bit of AI and my husband's photo. The profiles were basic. They were human-like, they weren't too dramatic, and I posted them on two separate dating platforms. And I waited. And before long, I had connections. And I started to engage with the scammers. And what I started to realise was this language. They were matching my tone, my pace, my interests. They would ask me how my day was. Now remember, I'm a fake profile here. So I was engaging with that conversation. But what I was also noticing was I was checking my phone a bit too often because I wanted to see what they were replying to my messages as well. And as time went on, I started to realise that this was engineered. I was being groomed. And the conversations continued. Now, it wasn't about me being educated or me being intelligent. That's not what this is about. This was about being human. And this is exactly what scammers exploit. So I understood the language model, how they were interacting with me. I then needed to know who was behind it. And what I found was not a con man sitting in a garage or in a cafe. I found a network. I found an organised, not chaotic, structured systems. There is manuals on how to groom, what to say to people, how to find out whether someone's lonely, when they're grieving, whether they've got money. There are romance scam manuals, there are pig butchering scam manuals, there is shopping scam manuals, there is manuals for everything. Then I found what we'd call the Scammers University, where they trade in tools, tactics and data. Thousands of collections of stolen photos of you and I traded like currency. Fake templates of fake documents. I created an Australian passport using the same font the Australian government use. This allows for our stories to be believable. Then, in real time, I watched victims being spoken to by scammers who they believe is the person they're in love with. They are unaware as to the technology being used, and I am watching this in real time. 3 days ago, because I still talk to scammers, I had a face-to-face with a scammer using a fake profile. It frightened me. For the first time in 3 years, I thought, I can't determine that that is not real. And I know there are victims overseas currently talking to that scammer and currently giving that scammer money. And it scared me. But what I also identified was that I'd seen this before. I'd seen this conditioning before, and it was in a different form of abuse. And there is a name for that, and that's called coercive control. And scammers are doing this at scale. The difference is it's a screen instead of a locked door. It's messages instead of a raised voice. It's the same abuse. Victims are not recovering. Victims are isolated. And there is damage that is being done, and they know exactly how to do it. So trust goes in and compliance comes out. And what is it costing us? This is the #1 crime in the world. Over $1 trillion lost in 2024. Data hasn't been released for 2025. This is not from corporations. This is from mums, dads, friends, families, savings accounts, retirement funds, money underneath the bed, super funds. This is from people who believed that they had found a new future, had found a love. We live in an island of 27 million-ish people, and we lost over $2 billion. 156.8 of that was to romance scams. This money is going to organised crime. This money is going to control corrupt governments. This money weaponises criminals. But it also, this money is going to buy luxury homes in Sydney Harbour. This money is being used for destruction. And then what happens is we have silence, shock and shame. And victims talk about how shame weighs more than the money they lost. And silence is exactly what the scammers rely upon. So when a victim is being identified as a scam victim, what we do in society, we don't offer compassion. What we offer is criticism. We offer cruelty. We say to victims, how could you be that stupid? How could you fall for that? How could you send that money? We're doing the jobs for the scammers. We are making sure that victims don't report. We have shame as the lock. We have silence as a door. Then we give the key to the scammer. We say, oh, well done. Keep going. Good job. And then we talk about vulnerability in this tone, like as if it's an insult. Oh my God, they're vulnerable. Like as if they've done something wrong. Brené Brown reminds us that vulnerability is not a weakness, it is the greatest strength of courage. Starting again after a loss is courage. Finding somebody when you have nobody is courage. When your life has been bruised and you have no one else around, and you go, I'm just going to have another go, is courage. But what we do is we punish those people with looking for courage, using that. We ensure that victims don't report, victims don't recover, and victims don't speak. Scammers exploit courage. We need to stop whispering, and we need to start talking about scamming. We need to start having the tough discussions and understanding that this is happening now. Scammers rely on 3 things: fear, trust, and urgency. So we're going to do 3 things. We're going to pause, check, and ask. Pause. Nothing is urgent unless it's a medical episode. That's urgent. Then we're going to check the authenticity of everything, on dating profiles, on websites, on emails, social media, anything in the digital landscape, and then we're going to ask for a second set of eyes to look over it. Because scammers don't fear technology, they're working at it far greater than what we are. What they fear is community. They fear when someone says, that happened to me. They fear when we go, tell me about it. What did you learn? We have to stop saying, why did you do that? We have to say, tell me more. How can I learn from that? Because scammers want us to remain silent. Scammers do not want us to be a community. They do not want us to talk about it. I go back to that kitchen bench. I couldn't help my mum. My mum was looking for love and she became a victim of a scam. Hope is really important and we have to work on that. And what we are trusting and we are kind. And scammers know that. We have to change the way that we treat victims of all scams. We have to remember that community is important. We have to change the way that we talk about shame. Because scammers right now, ladies and gentlemen, are winning and we are not. And we have to understand that the power is in our hands. We have to change our language and how we speak. And the way we do that is by looking out for each other. Thank you.